Hi, this is Gigi Bannister.
And this is Reggie Bannister.
And you're listening to the Movie Raid
Show.
It's time for the movie raid. Tonight's victims is actor Reggie Bannister and writer and filmmaker Gigi Bannister, who is known for their work in the Phantasm saga. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how you doing?
Fantastic.
Well, you can't say Phantasm without saying fan.
No, that's right.
Exactly. And you guys, speaking of which, have a new book that's currently out on Amazon, which is Phantasm Survival, which is supposedly in book format, is taking place several years or more after Phantasm Ravager. Is that correct?
Correct. It's 10 years later, and that damn tall man is still chasing Reggie, Jody, and Michael. Knows that the tall man came from the Red Planet. We tell you where the Red Planet is, what the Red Planet is. We wrote a factual-based fiction based on historical and factual-based science, and it's based on historical events that took place on this planet as well as the planet that it's based on. It tells you where the tall man came from, what their purpose is, and how the Lady in Lavender came to be here on this planet, and why and how. It jumps through time. It jumps back in time, centuries, digressing back through time based on the individual character's timeline. So it's filling in some holes along the way. Plus Rocky, plus all of the women of Phantasm are now present. The women who became minions of the tall man, as well as the women who were in Phantasm but were never brought back. So the women are very prominently featured, but not in your face featured. It's just, they're just part of the action, you know? And everyone plays a very specific and particular role in the development of their characters and of the action that happens in this book. The people that have read the book tell me that it reads like a script, that you see the action in Technicolor as it plays out on the page, and that it's a fast read. No author ever wants to hear that it's not a fast read.
That's true. Yep.
Reggie, anytime that I needed help with character development, character terminology, or dialogue, you know, I came to Reggie and had him help me develop that. There were times where I needed descriptives of what a particular scene would look like. I'd come to him for that as well. He even helped me with ideas for designs of the new spheres, the balls, how Reggie would say something. I mean, Reggie was very, very active in the development of the storyline. But the storyline is 10 years down the road. Everything is amassing to a head. They finally have figured out what it's going to take to, quote unquote, get rid of the tall man and send him back to his planet.
Through the years, man, for every story, I've had to redevelop my character a little bit somehow, one way or another, because it's a whole different set of circumstances. You know, a lot of different bad guys, little guys, tall men, you know.
Balls,
yeah, balls out, dude. And, you know, you don't want to see those balls flying around. No way. Yeah, we've been having fun with it, and Gigi's really doing a good job with it.
Scarefest weekend, October 18th through 20th in Lexington, Kentucky. Autograph signing there. That's going to be a Phantasm reunion. So we've got Don Coscarelli and Mike Baldwin, Bill Thornberry, Kat Lester, Gloria Lynn Henry, Lynn Eastman. And that's just the Phantasm family. We've got a bunch of other people from a lot of the other horror genres that are going to be, it's like the Comic-Con of horror, you know. It's huge. I just booked us for our autograph signing in our town of Crestline. It's at a place called Busyland, Bizzyland, Busyland. It's on Lake Drive in Crestline, Crestlind, Land, and that's in zip code 92325. That's going to be October 24th from 7 to 9 p.m. And it's $20 to get in. You get a free paperback book and a cocktail or beer or wine. And it's costumes encouraged. You get the book autographed for free. It's a free costume contest. It's really cool. But it's also available on Shopify. Our store on Shopify is called Nightmares with a Z, Nightmares Cafe. Now, there's a little secret that I'll tell only your listeners, okay? And anybody who might be hacking in to listen to your audience. So the secret is, if you send us your copy of the book, or you order it through Shopify, and you send us a note with it that says, get your pens ready, 9/29/24, 9/29/24. We will both autograph it with that date on it. That date is the publication date, the official publication date. It's also Reggie and my anniversary. It's also Reggie's 79th birthday. And so you will have an official release date signed copy. And that's only for a few select fans that know about that.
That is super awesome, and happy birthday in advance in case we don't speak by then.
Oh, well, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. I'll be eternal on that day. Yeah.
Space gate will be fine.
Yeah, go through the space gate. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, speaking of Phantasm Ravager, now some people may not know this, but it's one of the only films that wasn't really directed by Don Coscarelli. And did you feel that the character itself, your character Reggie, going into an even more warper type of direction of the story, did you feel that there had to be some creative control what you needed to do with this character, and even concerning the ending, which we're not going to give away the ending, but the fact is this is a little bit more different, and this is definitely an unexpected ending. And not only that, there were pieces left over of previous footage from previous movies, and not only that, the budget wasn't always the same. It was even lower, significantly lower. So did you feel that you had some say in this? And Gigi, you can jump in on this as well if you have some say for this too.
Now, let's just put it this way. I've been working with Don Coscarelli in film for almost 40 years, I think.
45.
45.
Well, 45 on Phantasm, and then even before that,
Before
that, there was 3
Jim
more.
the World's Greatest.
And Kenny and Company.
Oh, yeah, Kenny and Company. And those were the first 2 pictures that Don and I did together, that he wrote and that he directed. And then we did Phantasm, and it just went crazy. People just loved it, you know, and well, you know, when you see the first film, you understand what I'm saying. Because the characters are your everyday people. You know, it's very cool. Everyday people can really relate to it, you know, like, well, this could happen to me, right? and so Don wrote all of the pieces with that attitude. Normal people that get thrown into
abnormal situations.
Yeah, there you go, abnormal situations. It's an incredible concept. It really is. And I really think that's why people feel so attached to it. Keep rolling.
Ravager, Don approached us about Ravager as an experimental. He wanted to take it right back to 1979, basically. He wanted to take it in as an experimental. It was going to be just, you know, possibly a webisodic. Then it was going to be a short. Then it was going to be not so short. Then one day, we were right there when he did it. Then one day he looks at David Hartman and he says, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to we have too much film to do it we have too much shot to do it as a webisodic. So we're going to turn it into a full film. David, I want you to direct it. And David just looks at him like, wait, what? Yeah, because prior to that, I mean, David has been shooting film for a long time. He's been making little movies, but nothing like this, and not a franchise. Certainly not a franchise that he adores and considers the holy grail. He wouldn't, he'd be afraid to walk across the room with a sphere because he'd be afraid to drop it. All of a sudden he's entrusted with this franchise, and he's terrified, but he could do it. He'll do it because that's who David is. He will always step up. Oh my God, it was unrelenting for him, endless hours, and it wound up being 7 years because we had to shoot on weekends, and then we would cut, and then we would shoot some more, and then we cut some more, and then we shot John Dies at the End, and it was like, what the hell? You just kind of forgot about us. Okay, well, whatever. Then he comes back, and it had all our friends in it, on top of which. And we would have been on it. I was supposed to do effects on it up in Big Bear for the one kill scene it had. Except we had a snowstorm up here. And we couldn't get up to Big Bear. But Don got to Big Bear, and he lives in Santa Monica. So that was interesting. And I felt like an idiot. And I'm sitting there. I've got Reggie in the car. I have my assistant photographer in the car, and we have all the special effects supplies in the car. And I'm on the Highway 18. It's called Rim of the World Highway, headed up to Big Bear. And so the California Highway Patrolman took pity on me, and he says, if I could stop the traffic, can you turn around and go back? And I went, yes, by hook or crook, I will get out of here. We had to call Don after we got to the house. We called Don and we said, here's what happened. Then our phone died, and so he never got the message, and so we had to email him, and he was pissed. He was very pissed. But that's how come we're not on John Dies at the End.
Oh, it's been fun, dude.
You, Reggie, as being a focal point in Phantasm. Now, you could have easily been a victim in the first Phantasm film, easily, when it started. Yeah. Then, as it developed, being the all-man's man character, which was clearly specified with Don and including yourself, did you ever feel that your character was so valuable enough as the sequels came, despite its budget? Did you ever feel that, as far as financial stability, that you should have gained more profit for the character and what you do for the character as these sequels kept rolling in?
Well, let me just say, it's called independent filmmaking.
We are a different breed.
Yeah, really.
Independent filmmakers are a different breed. We don't have crews and casts. We have families.
You remember the old Nike thing?
Just
saying, just do it. And that's what we did. We just did it. And we're still doing it, man.
Still doing it. As a matter of fact, going back to the book, Phantasm 6 Survival started out as a script. The kick-ass script started in 2016. I actually started talking to Angus Scrimm about it. And it was Angus and Reggie. That's the only person I talked to about it. Angus thought it was a great idea, and I had started making notes to myself about it in a spiral book. And then as we were working on Phantasm 5, locations, ideas, and things like that, once I put the script together, I actually started designing props, new weapons, and one of the weapons that I could tell everybody about now is it's a 4-barrel Gatling gun, and I have a gunsmith that I work with who later became my editor and my associate illustrator. His name is Russell Grey Wolf Mauck, M-A-U-C-K. Grey Wolf and I collaborated a lot, and he not only followed my design, but for the 4-barrel Gatling gun, but he also manufactured it. He also started working on the concept for the Reggie's ice cream truck, armored CUDA. So we put all this concept together, put it in a package to present. We shot a short to go along with it. Oh, and we introduced another character called Frank Engraver, and that starts with a PH, Frank Engraver. And so it's basically a graver that became intelligent. He has a characteristic that none of the other gravers have because he was experimented on by the military, of course. So we shot that up here and put it together, and it became part of the package that we presented to Don. And then he turned it down because he was working with some other stuff and he didn't want to jeopardize that. And so it wasn't good timing for him. So I said, well, if it's not good timing, would it be okay to turn it into a book? And he goes, yeah, okay. And I said, well, here's what I want to call it. Is that all right? Yeah, it's fine. And then I offered him, a percentage, and he goes, I don't want the percentage, or just go ahead and write it. I went, okay. And that's what I did.
All the sequels that has been made, was there, and both of you guys can respond to this, was there ever a high risk, more than, at that time, a bigger risk from companies or anybody associated with all these films that you guys were involved with? Was there ever a higher risk as far as financing between the crew and the film itself? Did you ever felt, Reggie, did you ever feel it was a higher risk for you as an employee or any of that in that time as we kept going further in sequels, like financially wise, between the interests of the investors as well as the marketing value of all these films that you were involved with?
No, because the only time that Don Coscarelli relinquished his financial investment in the project was with Universal Studios.
Mm-hmm.
And that was Phantasm 2 and 3. And they pissed him off so much that he refused to do a third one with them.
The big studios can get mired down in their own bureaucracy.
But if it wasn't for Universal, you and I would not have met.
That's true. That is true. But, and so, good things can happen from anything you do. That's why we love talking about independent filmmaking. Because, again, Nike, just do it, And that goes with any of the arts, music, theater, film.
Mm-hmm.
Just do it.
Broadcasting,
that's right, dude. So, there you go.
Do you feel like within this type of horror film, because Phantasm has cemented itself within the horror community and became incredibly popular for itself, did you feel that it's more of a unique ability for characterization for this kind of horror film is severely lacking in today's horror community, even society, as far as filmmaking goes in the horror genre?
The story itself, is...
it's all about the story.
Yeah.
I always said that when I saw the Blair Witch come out, I said, we're fucked. Not because of Blair Witch itself, but because I said any idiot with a video camera is going to make a movie, and that's exactly what happened. When I saw people, the very first person that made a film with a camera phone come out, when I saw that come out, I went, great, we're fucked. Because any idiot with a camera phone is going to make a movie. And that's what they're doing. So every time they come out with a new higher end technology, they come out and they make a movie with it. They came out with drones. I said they're going to start shooting film with drones. And that's what they do with it. Anyone who thinks that they're not going to do that is an idiot. Anyone who thinks that AI is not going to be used in independent or union films is a what? Doesn't stand for artificial intelligence. It stands for artificial idiots. Okay? When Reggie and I first met, I told him people are stupid. And the other is that people are lazy. And he really had a problem with that for about 5 years. After about 5 years of working with me and me opening his eyes, he stopped having a problem with it because he started understanding I'm not making fun of people. I'm not belittling people. I'm realizing people. I'm outing them. because, even myself, I do the stupidest things sometimes. I trust the wrong people. I make wrong decisions. I make decisions that I shouldn't be making, you know, and it's just people are stupid. I'll walk up to a cash register. I'll ask someone, "Do you sell pins?" And the pins are right in front of me. And I went, "Oh, silly me. How much are the pins?" And the sign says pins, $1. People are too lazy to pay attention to things that are right in front of them. You have to overcome their stupidity and their laziness. And if you invent something like technology that's going to make it easier and for them to be lazy, they're going to do it. And they're stupid enough to think that, oh, I can make money at this and not feel any negative effects from it, which is stupid because there is always a negative effect for any positive technology. Always, always. The lazier people get, the worse it's going to be.
Do you, Reggie, believe that there is no such thing as replication, even if they were to hypothetically make another Phantasm movie or series, and they decide to use generated work for your likeness and even generate your voice? You feel like there is no such thing as replication from what Phantasm was made for, what it stood for, and what you believed in. Just like Night of the Living Dead, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, amongst many other Evil Dead, many other films out there that made their mark in history the old-fashioned way, so to speak.
In the case of Phantasm, for example, did I mention this earlier? It's just about three friends that all of a sudden find themselves in this horrible situation, and they got to hang together or they'll hang individually. And so they get it together, they talk about it, they go for it, and they decide to be the heroes they become in the film. It wasn't really their decision, they were thrown into it. And that's what's one of the cool things about Phantasm. It shows you how you can get thrown into stuff. It's been a great ride.
Let me ask you something. I'm going to describe a scenario to you. You tell me what franchise it sounds like. Two main characters that are brothers, very good looking, who drive a muscle car or two. They go around, they chase demons. Usually it has something to do with paranormal, or it has to do with otherworldly beings. There's usually a particular nemesis that they have to deal with. What does this particular episodic sound like to you? Because when that particular episodic came out, I was livid. I was absolutely livid. And I was calling Don, I was emailing Don. I'm like, why the hell are you not going after them? I mean, it's exactly like Phantasm. And then, one of the common things, for a lot of years, fans have known me as the pit bull of the family, If someone comes out, and infringes on the Phantasm rights, when people do that, we've had people, the worst one, I think, and I've gotten slammed about this, but the worst one was one that the fan and the people that made it was well-intentioned, and it was very clever, mind you, but he went in and he filmed scenes. He inserted himself and his friends into characters so that they were interacting with the main characters of Phantasm. Some of the Phantasm, or one of the Phantasm. Oblivion, I think. I think that's right. It's in violation of so many international intellectual property laws, I couldn't even count. Okay? But let's start with the fact that for every second that each of those characters are on the screen with that Screen Actors Guild member actor, they're stealing revenue because they're not paying residuals to that actor. They went even farther. They found some idiot, number one rule, people are stupid, they found some idiot theatrical owner or theater owner who agreed to screen it Now, they called it a private screening, but then they sold tickets. And that was when Don drew the line and went, go after him. I sent him a cease and desist. And I explained to him what the legal ramifications are. If he actually went through with the screening, this is what was going to happen. It wasn't a threat, it was a promise. Coscarelli is a litigious gentleman, okay? He doesn't do anything to you, but he has lawyers that will. And I tried to explain to them about, as I'm doing now, why it is you are hurting the family. You're not just hurting Don Coscarelli, you're hurting each and every actor that you're appearing in that scene with, because you're stealing residuals. You're taking money out of their pockets for each and every second you're on that screen with them, and not paying any licensing money, not paying any residual money to the Screen Actors Guild so that they can send the money off to us, and so on. And let me tell you something. It might be only a few dollars, a quarter or something like that, but we need it. We need it. There's times, we have homeless actors and they need it. So think about that. Don't be lazy. Number 2 rule. Don't be lazy. Think about that. Think about it the next time that you want to steal a scene from somebody. So we have a lot of well-intentioned budding filmmakers who they really what they want to do is to say, Don, look, I'm talented. I want to show you my work. I want to honor you with this scene that I did. I want to honor you with this music I performed. We honored you at this concert that I did, and I performed this song that I wrote for you. This is what they really want to do. They're not thinking beyond that context,
Before we get out of here, I want to do something special for the Phantasm fans out there. And Halloween's coming up, and I call this the Fantastic Five segment. And I want you, Gigi, and you, Reggie, to give the best memory from each movie that you've worked on, and describe like what was the best part working within each one of these movies, including with each other, even if you weren't indirect with that sequel itself.
I don't know. I think it was 3 where I get thrown in the trunk of the Cuda.
No, it was 4.
Oh, that was 4.
Yeah, it was 4. It was in the Death Valley.
Death Valley, that's
at
right.
2 in the morning.
That's right. And that's when I get. You remember that scene? I get thrown in the trunk.
The trunk of the Demon Trooper car.
Yeah.
Well, it took 15 tries to do that.
And I was going off a small trampoline.
It was a mini tramp.
A mini tramp to get height.
And so each time that first of all, Don shoots 5-to-1 ratio. He shoots 5 times to get 1 good shot. He shot it 15 takes, just to let you know. So that means, of course, he got 5 good shots. And out of that 5 good shots, each time he would push the trampoline back farther and farther. And so by the time he was done, he was 10 feet away from the vehicle. Reggie would run, jump on the mini tramp, and head for into the trunk of the vehicle in a progressive arc, so that each time that he got farther away, he would go higher into the trunk. And somehow he managed not to hurt himself until later that night when he turned and adjusted the protective pads on his body, and he ripped the muscle from his back.
Yep.
And he woke up the next day and he couldn't get out of bed. So I had to call Don, and we took him to the emergency room, at which point they gave him a shot of absolute pure Vicodin, which he'd never had before. And so every day, which made him, by the way, high as a kite, every day, or I should say every night, because we were shooting at night, every night, to get him out of bed, I gave him a Vicodin and a shot of scotch to get him out of bed. And that was for 12 days on location. Phantasm 4.
I can dig it. You do
Do you have them from
You
Phantasm?
do what you have to do, right?
Yeah.
And especially when you're making like a Phantasm film or something like that, independent film.
Right. Oh, I remember a story from
And
Phantasm.
you have to use your actors.
Yeah.
And not always have stunt people around.
Right.
Because you can't afford them, right?
So, which is the better memory for you on Phantasm 1? Was it the ice cream fight, Michael?
Oh, that was pretty good.
Yeah, they had this ice cream shop, and it was closed down, and they had this fight. It was supposed to be an insert, and so they had a big, huge ice cream fight with Jody and Michael and Reggie and a girl. I can't remember who it was, but it was one of the girls, and and then they proceeded to make Michael into a ice cream sundae.
And he looked
cherries,
good.
The little cherries on top.
Cherry on top.
Yeah. So that's one of them. And then, being the 14-year-old that he was, another one was he liked to be precocious on set. So he was always doing things. And one of the things that I was told that he did was that when they did the scene where they had the space gate open and it was either sucking or it was blowing or whatever, then he would take little pebbles and throw them into the big studio wind fan, which it was a huge, huge fan. And so he would take little pebbles and throw it into the fan to let it spit back out at the actors as a practical joke for him. Yeah. So that's Phantasm 1. Phantasm 2 probably didn't have a lot of memories because it was all a big blur because it was all union. On union sets, you don't have many fun little memories because everything is thus and so. So I really don't imagine that they have many memories. I was never really told about any fun stuff that happened, so I don't know. And plus, Michael was swapped out. Michael Thornberry. Michael Thornberry. Oh my God. Michael Baldwin. He took over for Michael because Universal Studios forced Don to choose. He could either recast Michael, or he could recast Reggie. He did not have to recast Angus, and so he chose to recast the kid because the kid would have grown by then, and so he would be a different size and different look. So it would be easier for him to recast. So he did. And so that was the name of that tune. Then Phantasm 3 came along. I'm sure you have some memories. That was the one when you were introduced to the shock cord.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun.
You know what a shock cord is? It's attached to your back. And if you're going to get, if you're supposed to get shot in a scene or whatever, they get about 3 big dudes way up high. Grips. And they have the shock cord, and right at the right time, they yank on it.
Well, what they do is they're standing on apple boxes.
Yeah.
Behind a wall.
Exactly.
And they jump off.
Oh, that's what they did, right? And boy, really.
And you slam into the wall.
You slam into the wall.
And it looks like you're flying up into the air, and slamming into the wall.
Yeah, and of course
the effect is slamming into the wall.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic because they didn't use
pads.
A stunt guy.
Oh, stunt doubles. No, that wasn't in the budget.
No, it was me.
Yeah. Well, it was your. Phantasm 3 was the first film that it was you primarily featured. You had the most humor, you had the most stunts, you had. Phantasm 2, they introduced all the cool toys, like the 4-barrel shotgun and
that's right.
The other, some more of the cool balls and like that. But Phantasm 3, it was all about your your personality, your the Reggie personality, the Reggie stunts, the Reggie dying, the Reggie living, the Reggie, I mean, it was all about Reggie, except for when it was the tall man. And then it was about Mike coming back. That was good. And then there was four. Four. There was a lot going on with four, I tell you. We had Gloria back. There was everything. I mean, everything going on.
Yeah.
A couple of things that they didn't know about is that we had to remanufacture some of the spheres because Don had placed some of the spheres. He had them, basically they were just glorified Christmas balls, because there was this scene in 3 where we call it being gang balled. There was 2 scenes. One is when the tall man is standing there and all the spheres are up above him, and he's looking down over Reggie, and he's scaring the crap out of Reggie. And then next thing you know, Reggie's got the shock cord has brought him up, and he was lifted up into the air against the wall, and the balls have pinned him against the wall. Well, little known fact, they didn't mark the costume as to where those balls were attached, where they were glued, and where they were just put on a little strap and put through the costume and onto Reggie's body. And so when 4 came along, they didn't know where they all went. While everybody else was on a break, I was standing there after lunch, and I had a VHS copy and a VHS machine, video monitor, and I was standing there going backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards to see which balls moved forwards, which balls moved, period, which balls were attached to Reggie's costume and which balls were attached to his person, so that there would be some continuity, because Don was eager on continuity and I'm anal about it. And then on 5, oh my God, 5. My favorite is Misty the horse. Misty the horse, actually, the shot that was shown wasn't the shot that was done. The shot that was shown was amplified, or enhanced rather, by David Hartman digitally. The shot that was done, Misty is a show horse owned by my dear friend Toby Yeomans, and she owned the Backyard Equestrian Center at the time, and she had therapy horses and stuff, and this one gorgeous horse was named Misty. She was about 16 hands high, 15 hands high, something like that. And she was used to things like having bonnets on her head. Nothing really fazed her much. We rigged up a sphere with a clothes hanger, a wire clothes hanger, so that it would fit on her like a bonnet. And it was a pumper sphere. So we had her dad, whose name was Bob, holding a bucket of blood, which we call Bob's, and tubing that dipped down into the bob that was taped to the side of her body. And when they would call for a take, I was hiding on the side of Misty so the camera couldn't see me, but I was holding the tubing so that it wouldn't come on tape from her body. I warned everybody. I said, okay, so safety first, save the camera. If anything goes wrong, save the camera. Make sure it's okay. And then you go this way and you go this way and I'll go this way with the horse. Everybody's ready to go, lights, camera, action, la, 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 And she just stands there looking at everybody. And the blood's pumping out, And she's like, what? Is there something I'm supposed to do? What? She's just looking around. And then finally we say cut, and then we all start bursting out laughing, because we're just cracking up. This stupid horse is standing there like, what? What the hell are you guys talking about? What am I supposed to do? So the next take, we clean her up and we tape her up again. We put the tubes on again. and we refill the bob and decide. Toby decides that she's going to startle her so that she would, move around. So we get her, we start the camera rolling, and Toby startles her, and she goes flying around the corral, and she takes me with her. And everybody starts panicking, and we start heading towards the corral fence, and everyone's like, oh my god, and I'm just laughing my ass off. And, and we start heading to the corral fence, and there's this big muddy hole right next to the corral fence, and she stops just short of it, and I go smacking right into the pole. And everyone turns the camera off, and they come running towards me, and I'm like, are you okay, are you okay? And I'm just laughing so hard, and I'm just like, yes, I'm fine, go check the horse.
Go ahead and plug in any websites and, of course, where to get the book. And if there's any added advice that you, Reggie, and Gigi would like to share for those filmmakers and actors who are struggling to become cemented just like Phantasm did amongst many others before them and so forth.
Yeah, well, like I said before, the old Nike saying, just do it. Just do it. And sometimes that's easier said than done, but because you have to take the time to do it, and if you're working every day on a regular straight job, you may have to take a break from that. So it's kind of a dangerous thing, but it's called independent filmmaking. So, yeah, if you want to be an independent filmmaker, or you want to be part of that business, you just got to do it.
I Since I was a little bitty girl, my mom passed in 2020 on Mother's Day, which was also her birthday. Um, and I, um, when I was a little thing, I mean, when I was in elementary school, she had these little books that were like memory books, and you put your school picture in it, and you record your grades in it, and it asks, what does the student want to be when they grow up? Over half of my elementary writings included movie director from the time I was a little bitty girl. I used to lay in bed at night and listen to because my bedtime was like 8 o'clock, and then it was 9 o'clock, and I would lay there listening to the Academy Awards and pretend like I was getting an Academy Award as a director. It's all I ever wanted to do. And I couldn't believe it when I actually did start directing. I didn't start really directing until I went to film school. I didn't graduate film school until I was 56. So you're never too old. I was always told I was stupid, and I was always told I was too old. Then I was a girl, and so nobody hires girl directors, and especially in horror. And I just wanted to prove them wrong. And then Coscarelli hired me. Not only did he hire me as a special effects artist, but he had me as a special effects coordinator from the get-go. And then on Phantasm 4, I worked 14 positions. I wasn't credited with 14 positions, but I worked 14 positions on Phantasm 4. On Phantasm 5, I didn't work 14 positions. I worked 12 positions. And I also was elevated to associate producer. No one is going to give you associate producer, or sorry, co-producer. Yeah. Uh, no one's going to give you one of those. You have to ask for it. You have to negotiate for it. Once you do get it, don't give it up. Don't apologize for it. You earned it. That's why they gave it to you. Okay? Don't apologize. Just move forward. And you're never too old to start. So just do it. Amazon.com, and in the search engine, search Phantasm Survival. It's never over. Phantasm Survival. It's never over. Or you can search Gigi Bannister or Reggie Bannister. It'll pop up as well. As far as like appearances, right now the only one that's going to pop up is the Scarefest in Lexington, Kentucky, October 18th through 20th, and that's scarefest.com. But the one in Crestline will pop up very soon.
Very, very cool. And there you have it, everybody. That is Reggie Bannister and Gigi Bannister.
Thank you. We love you guys.
Yeah, we love you guys, man. You picked up on what we were doing, and it goes back to, again, the old Nike thing, just do it, that's what you got to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep. It.
So there you go, Dan.